All right, hello everybody. It's Nick. I'm here with former Georgia Force quarterback Justin Arth. Um, Good seeing you. Thanks for coming on, especially such short notice. Um, yeah, go ahead and tell everybody a little bit about yourself. Floor is yours.
Yeah. So, hey, my name's Justin Arth. I'm a professional quarterback. This is my fourth year or third year in professional football now. It all started in 21. So, yeah, third year in professional football. I've been in many different arena leagues, had a couple of NFL workouts and CFL things and stuff like that going on too. But yeah, I went to an NAI school in Texas Wesleyan and born and raised in Georgia until I went to go play college football in Texas. So, yeah, it's been a fun journey and make some TikTok content, YouTube content, and stuff on the side, as well as coaching. And I'm connected with guys like Tom House and Tom Brady, Drew Brees, and all those kind of guys. And I'm very fortunate and blessed to be connected with them because they're helping me on my journey, trying to play the highest level of professional football that I possibly can. But yeah, no, I mean, try to do whatever I can to give back to the next generation. And obviously this professional football journey is a little crazy, especially here in arena football. But yeah, the Georgia Force situation, obviously we'll probably get into talk about that. But
Yeah,
unfortunately, not by my own doing or by any of my teammates or coaches doing. We're no longer members of the Georgia Force because our team folded this week. So yeah, definitely looking for the next opportunity and continuing to rise up the ranks.
yeah, definitely good having you on. I felt the whole NAI thing because I played at Reinhardt 4 years, so I definitely know the whole journey, the whole
Yeah,
battle
one of my
there.
buddies was at Reinhardt.
Yeah, I had some good times over there. Fortunately, couldn't stay all 4 years, but I did enjoy my time over there. Um, so it says here you're a Georgia boy, just like me, pretty much just like most of my viewers. So tell me about your high school experience. Tell me about what part of Georgia you're from,
Yeah.
and yeah,
Yeah, so I'm from Stockbridge, Georgia. I was technically born in Riverdale. I was born in the hospital over in Riverdale, but I've lived here in my house in Stockbridge, the one I'm in right now, whatever, my entire life. So grew up there. Went to the Dutchtown High School cluster in the public school stuff here in Henry County. So Pates Creek Elementary, Dutchtown Middle, Dutchtown High School. Kind of fell in love with the game of football around sixth grade, something like that. Kind of fell in love with football through Brett Favre, who my dad, who was a big fan of, he's a Minnesota Vikings fan, and that was around the same time Brett Favre was coming to the Vikings from the Jets, and then his previous time with the Packers for all those years. And so that was kind of my first true experience into football. I'm like, hey, I want to be like this Brett Favre guy. So I'd watch YouTube videos, taught myself how to play quarterback, and was like, hey, I'm trying out for the seventh grade football team. And obviously made the team there, won the championship in seventh grade, won it again in eighth grade with that same crew, and then went on the freshman team. Once we got to Dutchtown High School, we won that, so we got three in a row. But obviously loved baseball. I played baseball and stuff myself all throughout kind of my life and basketball, and I'm well traveled in terms of all the sports. But yeah, so from Stockbridge, Georgia. Once I got through Dutchtown, I was into my sophomore year. Dutchtown High School wasn't what Dutchtown High School is now in the high school football scene. I was a couple years ahead of guys like Will Anderson and Trey Dean and stuff like that. So we were kind of the first true class to kind of get some eyes on Dutchtown. I know there's one or two guys older than me that went off to play some Division One football as well, but yeah, we were kind of the trailblazers of kind of getting recruiting in southern Atlanta, kind of especially Henry County. But there was just some coaching turmoil issues, things like that, where the coach my freshman year, who was there for 5 or 6 years, got fired for supposedly money laundering or something like that. But it wasn't him; it was somebody else on staff or something that blamed him, so he took the fall for it. So he moved on. He was a coach that I liked, thought I was going to play for. But then we got a coach from Lovejoy High School, Coach Kevin Bull Jones. Great coach. We had a decent program, but went 4-6, and we were trying to do things like painting the field and create a different atmosphere, and we didn't budget very well. So high school went into debt, and the best thing they knew how to do was let him go after a year, especially because we went 4-6. So sophomore year's there, and going into my junior year, I'm like, hey, I want to play football in college. Like I have dreams of putting on a gold jacket and being an NFL Hall of Famer. And to even do that, you got to first get to college. So I was like, all right, I got to make the hard decision to leave my buddies and leave my friends there, and transferred to a private school in McDonough, which still kind of same area. It's maybe made my drive 2 or 3 minutes longer to school. So I ended up going to Creekside Christian Academy my junior and senior years, and they had a really good team. Only thing they were missing was a quarterback, and I was very fortunate enough to go to church with some of the people there. So the transition was pretty smooth. Went in, and then 2 playoff appearances in those 2 years, and was able to break some school records, career-wise and season-wise, just in the 2 years I was there. And that's even with a broken collarbone my senior year that then affected college recruiting. That meant I went NAIA as opposed to like your lower-level D1s and things like that. So
Yeah, definitely felt that. I grew up in Gwinnett, as most of y'all know. Um, that I trust me, I know all about the high school experience and what all goes into it, especially like with recruiting. I had a dislocated shoulder my senior year that played through, and then the other thing that kind of hurt my recruiting was that I was 170 and he put me at middle linebacker, and
yeah,
I
170 middle linebacker ain't working.
like I was normally a safety, but we had some guys get hurt. They threw me a middle linebacker, so I definitely understand that. Um, but yeah, what really sparked your love for football? I know you mentioned Brett Favre wanting to be like a lot of the NFL guys, but was there like a certain moment in your when you started playing football where you were just like, hey, I really love this thing. I really want to make a career for it. Um, yeah, tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, so obviously I was kind of very headstrong on once I saw guys like Tim Tebow and Brett Favre and Aaron Murray as well a little bit later on down the line. Those were guys that I kind of looked up to, and I wanted to be just like them and do things just like them. So it kind of sparked my interest in like, I want to play this quarterback position. I want to do this. But it wasn't until I finally really got on the field and I threw that first touchdown pass, which was a really, really good, like 4 verticals play outside the hashes on the sideline. I look back at it now and it's like, okay, yeah, that's like I could make that throw in my sleep now. But you look at it and in the moment, it felt like I was throwing like a 70-yard bomb to win a Super Bowl. And I loved it from that point on. And I'm like, okay, no, I can be pretty good at this. Obviously, I'm getting started into football a lot later than everybody else because playing football, my first experience was 7th grade. Like a lot of my teammates were playing the rec leagues, the Pee Wee, the Pop Warners, and all this other kind of stuff growing up. And I'm like, I just learned how to throw on YouTube and was maybe a little overweight at the time and needed to kind of lose some weight and to play the position that I was doing, but I was fortunate enough to play it and just kind of picked it up and had some natural talent and obviously had to go develop it from there. But yeah, no, throwing that first touchdown pass and getting that adrenaline rush and knowing what it's like to throw over a defender or seeing a guy wide open and then celebrate with your teammates and then that camaraderie in the locker room and things like that. It that feeling never goes away, even now as a professional. And in a way, I'm like an adrenaline junkie like that, where I love that feeling. I love that feeling of dapping up my teammates, smacking them on the helmet, saying, hey, a heck of a play there, or throwing a touchdown pass to somebody and being able to watch their funny celebration of their cool dance move, whatever that I can't do or whatever. It's I love it. It's a rush for me, and I absolutely love every single second that I get a chance to be out there and do it.
That's great. That's definitely great. Especially those first moments when you're playing football and you just know, like, okay, this is what I want to do. This is what I'm gonna strive for. This
Mm-hmm.
is what I'm gonna put the hard work into, and it's always great to hear stuff like that. Um, but yeah, going into a little bit of your pro career, you bounced around multiple leagues, um, and done my little bit of research on you. See, you're 25, if I'm
Mm-hmm.
not mistaken, 25. So being at that age and being having gone so many places, how does that affect your mental? Because normally when you're growing up, you kind of think of it as a streamlined thing, like, okay, I'm gonna ball out in high school, I'm gonna go to college, and then just straight up get drafted. But that's not the journey, and that's not the story for everybody.
Yep.
So tell me what it was like in your first few years in professional football.
Yeah, so I still have a different kind of experience even getting into pro football too. So, I mean, my college career was kind of crazy. I went from starter to scout team back to starter, and then that's when COVID hit and all this other kind of stuff. There's a crazy story behind all that, but in whatever game time I have had and things like that, I got recognized. Like Rams scouts were coming to check out some of our receivers and saw me throw at practice. Like, oh hey, who's this Justin Arth kid? Like, pretty talented. Let's keep an eye on him. Let's write him down. And I would have some meetings and stuff with guys. When scouts would come by, just kind of see what we've got on our team and things like that. So I knew there was a chance that I could play professional football and actually make that dream a reality. But because of the pandemic, and because of where or when I was graduating with my master's degree, because I had graduated early, I'd kind of gone through this plan. I'm very analytical, forward thinking, and very methodical in what I do. And obviously that makes me a better quarterback. But I saw so many guys, whether that's friends of mine that play in the NFL now, friends of mine who play overseas, who played with me at Texas Wesleyan or other things where they knew they wanted to play professional football as well. But they didn't do what they needed to do to graduate and get the degree. So, like, once they finished football season in December and finished that semester in December, even if they had one semester left, they weren't finishing school because obviously they're doing the draft process and draft prep and all that other kind of stuff. And then spring seasons of like arena or overseas ball happen, like I said, in the spring. So, they're going off doing that, and then 3, 4, 5 years goes around, and they're still one semester away from getting that degree because they're only doing a class at a time here. And I'm like, no, if I want to play in the NFL and it's my goal to play in the NFL, I'm going to do everything that I possibly can to graduate with, regardless of whatever degree I get, to graduate in December or January, depending on how semesters would line up, or whenever you would officially get the diploma or be done with the class. To graduate basically in the wintertime. So whenever I would move forward to the draft prep training process or the playing of a season or things like that, because at that time I didn't even know really arena football existed.
Yeah.
So I did everything that I could to graduate in December. So December of 19 got the bachelor's degree, and that was a semester early. And then I did the master's program immediately starting that January, and it took me 1 year compared to other people, a year and a half or two, and got that done essentially like January of 2021. But through all that, it was kind of COVID and all that too. So our conference in the NAI, the Sooner Athletic Conference, was different than everybody else and made the decision to say, hey, we're going to play 3 games in the fall, but the NAI said our playoffs are going to be in the spring semester. So what we're going to do is we're going to play 3 games in the fall, and then we're going to play the other 6 conference games in the spring to get you ready and playoff eligible and things like that. So basically, you're playing football for 2 semesters. Well, hey, I'm graduating in the middle of all that. So
Yeah.
obviously, the COVID stuff hit. It got through that, and then we fast forward to January, and I'm graduating, and my coaches were like, hey, we're penciling you as a starter. Like, you got this here. So we need you to come back. And they were telling me I wouldn't need to take any credit hours extra, wouldn't need to take any classes or anything. Whenever I basically left in December to come back. And I was like, yeah, I'm coming back. Like, I'll push the pro career off by a whole year, and I'll have a whole year to, I guess, train to be ready and stuff like that, as opposed to just half a semester, whatever. And so I was more than willing to go home, train in Atlanta, and then come right back out to Fort Worth, Texas, and be ready to go try to make a playoff appearance for the first time in college and all that. And then money kind of popped up where I'd been on football scholarship the entire time through it all. And then I checked my financial aid stuff, and the football money was there, but it wasn't as much. It got pulled back, and then housing wasn't taken care of. So I'm making all these calls to be like, hey, like, can we get this money back, or can housing be taken care of? Just doing my due diligence to make sure all that's good. And then essentially it just kind of turns into a run around the university with different staff members things. And it ends up with the athletic director saying, hey, your coaches kind of told you wrong. They might have been a little misinformed, saying that you still need to take a credit hour to be eligible to play. And at that point, I was 2 weeks already back into campus in my dorm and all that other kind of stuff. And I'm like, all right, I just got to make the decision to either take a class that I don't need because I have the master's degree already, or I need to make the decision of, okay, I'm going to try this pro thing now and be done with the college career. And that was the tough decision I made to go pursue that. And at the time, I didn't have some of the connections that I did now. So I realized I missed the NFL draft declaration period by a week because of when I made the decision and things like that. So couldn't declare for the NFL draft and knew I would have to go a free agent route, and was very fortunate that a former teammate of mine who I played against at Texas College in college was in Atlanta training, and he had signed to play for a professional arena football team here in Atlanta. And he's like, "Hey, we need a quarterback. You mind coming out and practice and whatever." I told coach about you. Just send me your film. I'll give them to you. And the rest kind of history there, where Peach State Cats, I thought I was doing it to just get some film to put my name back in the draft, or at least be a UDFA. And that did lead to some other things like a workout with the Falcons and stuff like that. But and then moving on to the next team, because arena football is all about making steps up the ladder. So the Peach State Cats are one of the bottom levels of professional level football in arena football. And then you got to make the step up. And I went from the bottom level of professional to the highest level of professional in arena football with the Tucson Sugar Skulls that very next year. And then obviously bounced around at other teams. But what I've kind of noticed is that's just kind of how arena football is. It's not like the NFL where you can get drafted by a team. You've got a 4-year contract with a 5th-year option if you're the first round, or you sign a contract for 5 years or whatever. You can like truly get settled there. Like the arena salaries aren't that great, and everything's so like you're here this year, or you're here this season, but you're not going to be back even if you play well. It's just the turnover's so high. And so you just kind of have to get used to that and take advantage of whatever opportunities present yourself, and use the film that you can, network as much as you can with the workouts that you are given, or you got to do other ways of like paying your way to go to some of these workouts first and get attention of scouts to where maybe it starts becoming a little more free or a little less expensive for you to do some of these things, because now they know you, they know you're talented, they know your resume, and so they start making some exceptions. So yeah, it's truly not what I thought I'd be doing, but it's a part of the journey that I absolutely love, and I've kind of fallen in love with the process. And I've met a lot of great people through this, and I'm not over yet.
That's always good to hear that you're still fighting for your dream. You still want to keep at it. It's definitely like a motivating story there. Um, Even like with things you're going through now with the AFL and the Georgia Force. Um, I remember watching the Georgia Force as a kid. When they
Yeah, they were up by you up in Gwinnett.
Yep, and I used to go to a couple games here and there. So and also my high school football coach, our head coach, used to play for the Georgia Force. So I always knew about the Georgia Force, and when I caught word that the AFL was coming back and that the Georgia Force was coming back, my first thought was kind of like, okay, I'm thinking like, okay, I'm gonna try out, and things of that nature, and then obviously missed the time for that, but also at the same time, seeing all the AFL, how did the startup of the AFL get relayed to you? Um, Especially like I just always wanted to know what for players. I know the players know before the fans do. How did the startup of the AFL? How was all that information relayed to you?
Yeah, so with a lot of it, honestly, you find out the same time we do, unless we have like a media connection or something that might have been tipped something. And so I've got a couple media connections. So like I appear on some shows as a quarterback analyst and stuff over on the Shady Sports Network, and stuff like that. And Sam Just, who runs the network, is very well connected in the spring football universe, and so he gets a lot of things, and he'll shoot me a Facebook message or something like that, so I know a little bit about things like, oh, hey, there's an announcement that the Georgia Force is coming back. I know that's in your hometown, and money's obviously always tight because of the multiple jobs you got going on, and this level of professional football pays you basically nothing, and so you just gotta. Here's a great opportunity for you. Go. Here's the coach's number. Or here's this, whatever. But yeah, with the AFL in general, obviously, if this was me 3 years ago, yeah, I wouldn't know how I would have gotten in contact with them at all, if not for like a friend or something like that. But now I've kind of learned how to connect and look where I need to look. And so a lot of, unfortunately, a lot of their recruiting is through Facebook and things like that. So you try to connect with almost everybody you can on Facebook that looks like they're affiliated with some type of arena football or some type of level of football, whether that's the UFL, CFL, NFL, whatever. And you market yourself over there, and you try to find emails, find phone numbers, things like that. Constantly be pushing yourself out there, throwing your film out there, throwing workout clips, whatever you got to do to get all that. But yeah, so I was just kind of tipped that the AFL was going to be coming back, and Georgia was going to have a team. At that point, I was already signed to another arena team that I would have played for this year in North Carolina. But I was like, hey, if this league is truly playing on NFL Network, if this league is truly going to pay us $1,000 a game, that's tripling, if not quadrupling, my salary per game in the arena football world. And I get to live at home in my own bed and work my normal job around the schedule that I'll have to then create with what this team's doing. Of course, like I'm going to do my due diligence to try to find out information about this team and how to be a part of it, because I know I've got a pretty good resume with multiple NFL workouts, multiple CFL workouts, multiple camps, and different arena football teams. And although I'm still very young in this, I've got a very good resume for someone this young still. And I want to use that and leverage that to my advantage to get on these teams and get more experience and get more film and be able to live that dream and play as football as high as possible. So at that point, I was already in training camp with the Carolina Cobras, and they finally announced a tryout date, and it was around the same time I was in camp. So I just texted the coach like, "Hey, here's my film, here's my resume. I'm currently with the Carolina Cobras, but I would like to play for you. I'm a local hometown kid. You wouldn't have to house me or anything like that, because obviously arena football doesn't always have money in it, as we've kind of seen." And they'll always take a chance on a local guy, especially if they're pretty good, and because it saves them money on housing and things like that. So I was told, hey, we got a quarterback that I'm committing to, regardless of what you do. So you're going to come in and just develop and just learn the game. And I'm like, okay, well, I've played the game, so I think I know the game a little better than this guy. But I'll take whatever I can get, because I'll play the long game. I'll be humble, and I know I'll be on the field at some point. So decided to take up that opportunity after Carolina let me go for another guy who had played in the UFL, in Guy Myers. Or not played in the NFL. He was signed to the UFL and then released once they started getting their NFL guys in. But yeah, so went forward with that, and it's just kind of been a crazy ride since then, with a lot of lack of communication and finding out we wouldn't have home games, travel team, didn't have equipment during training camp, didn't get footballs till midway through training camp, didn't get helmets or shoulder pads and stuff until the first week of the games, essentially. So no, it's kind of been all crazy, but I was willing to put myself out there and do it because of the promises that we'd get paid $1,000 a game and that our games would be on NFL Network, and what that would obviously mean for the exposure for me to get to that level. And I've got connections to people at that level. I keep getting told by a lot of the greatest coaches in the world that I'm right there. I'm just as good as a lot of people on second and third string depth charts around the NFL, but the only thing that they have that I haven't has been the opportunity to be there and sit in that seat. So I need to do whatever I can to get that film and to get over that hump and sit in that seat and prove that I deserve to be there. And not unfortunately, but fortunately, arena football was one of the many avenues that I can use to try to get there, and was going to take a chance on that, especially with being a local guy.
Yeah, especially like with arena football. I heard the emphasis on the word truly a lot. So not gonna have you go like too deep, 'cause I know you do have a YouTube video out explaining
Yep.
everything. But yeah, so just explain a little bit of what exactly you were going through with the Georgia Force, and what led to the team folding, and just kind of, there's always been a lot of questions out there. Just kind of what
Mhm.
was going on overall.
Yeah, so with the Arena Football League, there were kind of always questions from the beginning, just with how they would release information that wasn't even fully correct. Like they did this whole New York Stock Exchange release of like their schedule or their proposed cities or whatever. And obviously, when you propose cities, those always aren't going to come through, whatever. But most of the 16 cities they announced weren't cities that we ended up having. And they talked about bringing legacy teams back, like the Philadelphia Soul, like the Georgia Force, but then a lot of these other cities that were now nowhere to be found, they started replacing them with some other teams that I used to play against in other arena leagues that were paying lower salaries and coming over. And because I've played there, I played against these guys or these teams. Because obviously, like I said, guys change every year. It's just the teams kind of stay the same. I'm like, okay, they're not poorly run teams at all, but they're paying a $250 a game salary for a 10-game season or an 8-game season, and now you're expecting them to pay $1,000 salary for a 10-game season plus playoffs. And so how's that going to work? So you just kind of start putting things together, and you're like, there must be a lot of money here, and if there's not, this could be a colossal failure. And you just kind of start seeing all that. But again, it's like, okay, let me try to be positive about it, because if this says I'm playing on NFL Network, and if this says $1,000 a game, then money must be here somehow, and I just got to take the chance on it regardless, and deal with the beginnings of a new league or remnants of an old league trying to become a new league, and just deal with it and allow them to kind of go through the kinks and all that and be fine. But yeah, no, I mean, just even signing with the Georgia Force, there wasn't a lot of communication between me and the coach. The coach would never really come out to workouts because he wanted to see me throw, wanted to see what I did outside of just what I sent him, but then would never show up when I would be adamant every single day of like, hey, I'm throwing at this place that's like 20 minutes from where you say you live down in Noonan, and come out and see me throw. I got some receivers out here that want to play for you too. But then after a week or week and a half of doing that, it turned into, oh, okay, well, here, what's your email? And then you send a contract. And I'm like, okay, cool. I'll sign this contract, read through it, sign the contract, whatever, send it off. And a lot of these arena contracts sound the same and are all worded the same. And so maybe didn't read it as well as I typically do, but signed it, sent it off. And then no communication on when training camp would start, even though the season was supposed to start 2 weeks from the day I signed the contract. And then it's just a last minute communication, and we're meeting at a kind of rundown hotel on the west side of Atlanta. And we don't even have a meeting room. We're meeting in a hotel room with chairs just scattered around the room. And, coach just continues to talk about adversity is so stuff we got to go through. And I'm like, okay, cool. Like, again, if we play on NFL Network, if I get $1,000 in my bank account every week, I'm cool. It's fine. And I'll play the long game. I'm cool not even being the starter right now because I know I'm better in the long run. Like, I just got to earn my keep, got to do what I can. But then just as things kind of went along, wasn't very communicative. Apparently he was on the phone with the league commissioner every single day because we didn't even have an owner. We were owned by the league, and Lee Hutton, the commissioner. And so when the equipment didn't come in on time, or when we didn't have equipment and the first 2 practices were just conditioning only, coach doesn't have a playbook. So he's like, all right, I don't have a playbook's up here. You just need to be able to run these 3 plays and adjust. And I'm like, okay, well, every arena team I played for still has a playbook. Like, I understand it's a game of adjustments and arena's different than the outdoor game. Like, trust me, I get that. But no playbook, no film, no ability to watch other teams. Like, and I'm just like, okay, hold on. This seems kind of very semi-pro-ish. But again, hey, $1,000 hits my bank account, NFL Network, I'm cool with it. Come week 1, they make me inactive. Again, that's coaching decision. That's a football personnel decision. I had a very great camp, performed very well, should have been the starter. But again, that's coaching decision. I'm not mad about that. I'll just get back to work next week, whatever. But still, paycheck should come in. I'm fine. Cool. Well, paycheck doesn't come in. And then guys are going hungry that are in the team hotel that move from elsewhere. And obviously we're not getting paychecks, and they're spending money on Ubers, or spending money on their groceries, or just food to eat in the day. And so they brought it up to coach before one of our practices. And coach's reaction to it was, you got to be a man. Like, men should have money on the back burner for all this kind of stuff, and wasn't even willing to help us out, which in every other arena team I played for, yeah, I'm not getting paid $1,000 a game. I'm getting paid $300 a game or something. But everywhere I've been has food sponsors, and you get $15 food vouchers, to where obviously if you get an $18 meal, you still pay $3, but you're getting $15 free. Yeah. And you're getting food provided to you at least 2 a day, and things like that. So food's provided for, especially for the non-local guys. Like, I get, like, for someone like myself, I'm coming home to my parents' house and I might have to cook a meal, or my parents might have a meal, whatever. But I can still eat. I'm fine. I'm going to a substitute teaching job in the morning to earn some money, have some flexibility as a job, whatever. Like I'm cool with it, but I don't want my teammates out there starving. And so it kind of created an uproar on the team that we just got to be a man. Like, we're not getting paid. Like, can we
Yeah.
contact Lee Hutton? Can we, like, because he's supposedly our owner, like, we need to be paid. And obviously, other guys weren't being paid around the league, or some teams that had ownership groups were being paid, but others weren't. And it was just kind of all over the place. They changed our schedule multiple times. No one wanted to play the team in Oregon due to unsafe walls. So obviously we're league owned. So who's got to go up and play them now? Us. So we're forced to go up and play Oregon. The walls weren't as bad as they look. I mean, because they're kind of those like metal bull ring walls that put some padding over it.
Yeah.
So they're not as bad when you get thrown into it like I was. But obviously, it's still dangerous, and
Yeah.
they need to be better. But no, it's just a lot of different things over and over again. And then we get to this week, going into a week 3 game against a team that had already folded a week before us. And coach is canceling practice on Tuesday, canceling practice on Wednesday, canceling practice on Thursday, and then tells us I got off the phone with Lee Hutton, which, again, we were never allowed to contact him, but apparently he was on the phone with him every day. And we were being told that the Georgia Force, according to Lee Hutton, has folded and they don't have any money to pay us. And then a subsequent text 10, 15 minutes later saying the guys in the team hotel have until Saturday to get out. Only basically leaving like a day and a half of time to scrape money together when we've been on this team for 3 weeks, a training camp week and 2 weeks of games where we're not getting paid anything and food hadn't been provided to us or things like that. And yeah, so it was just a bunch of stuff like that just kind of led to it. There's some other things that our kicker on our team, I guess, had some stake earlier, previously working with this head coach and trying to be a GM with a bunch of funding coming in to be the owners. And it seemed like our head coach was kind of in coalition with the owner because they were friends. They played in the original AFL together. And it kind of seemed like they were business partners, and they didn't want to give up control of it when there was funding and people wanting to fund it and be a part of it and have an arena in Gwinnett with the original field and walls and all that kind of stuff from the original Georgia Force that we'd be using and all that. But they didn't want to do that, I guess. And so obviously I don't have the proof of that. Our kicker does, and the lawsuit that it is impending will come out with all that, and we stand behind it because all we want to be paid our fair wages, like everybody else in the league has. But unfortunately, the teams that are league ran have not been paid, and all of those teams are essentially folding, to my knowledge, or at least being placed dormant, as the Philadelphia Soul situation. But then you look around the league, and there's teams like Albany and Nashville and West Texas. Yeah, West Texas has its own issues. I even played for West Texas last year when they were in a different league. They've got great ownership groups. Billings, I played for Billings' owner last year in Wyoming as well. Before he had 2 teams, one in Wyoming, one in Billings, and then obviously basically consolidated the 2 of them. But yeah, I mean, there's good ownership. There's good arenas. There's a great product out there, and the teams that are there that are stable are very stable, and I think they can make the league thrive. But unfortunately, with the league commissioner in charge and then running some of these teams, I don't think he's fit to be in charge. I still forgive him for what he's done to us. But we want to be done right, and obviously we don't want any of this as a blip on our resume, because we decided to take a chance on you based on the promises that were given to us, to try to use that platform to go higher. And then unfortunately, with us not having the film from our games essentially, and us not really having anything to show from being here, it's kind of hard to find another place to play, especially mid-season for a bunch of these other arena leagues that are still going on.
Yeah, that's definitely understandable. The only thing a man ever wants is just fairness, giving a fair shake.
Yep.
If stand on your word, if you're going to deliver a promise, cash in on it.
Exactly.
In my opinion, I agree with you. I don't think Lee Hutton is fit to run the AFL either. I mean, making these promises to a bunch of guys who just genuinely want to continue playing the game they love or use it as a tool to move up, further their careers and things of that nature, and then taking advantage of them in the process. Um, Once again, I'm really sorry to hear that. Y'all were really done wrong. Putting unsafe conditions, um, basically just straight up abused by the league and just things that should have been straightened out, that should have been dealt with by the man in control, and simply just weren't.
Yeah,
But now, I mean, we can only live in the present and look forward toward the future. So, what are some
of
new
course.
opportunities for Justin Arth in the future?
Yeah, so obviously I played in the indoor football league, which does seem to be the most stable and legitimate arena football league around. Obviously, the National Arena League, where I was with Carolina Cobras earlier, I have conversations with them, and the head coach still loves me. He said it was the hardest cut he ever had to make, and stuff like that. So, yeah, I mean, I'm definitely throwing my flyers out there. I mean, the main goal up until today was like the GoFundMe that was started. The GoFundMe that was started to try to get our non-local guys home. So the main thing there was try to get those guys home, and then I'll focus on my career because I was trying to be a leader of this team, try to be as selfless as possible, and take care of our guys. So most of them are out and have travel arrangements to get home as of this time. There's still three more that I'm waiting to get GoFundMe to allow me to pull out the funds because apparently they don't want you to pull it out all at once. So that's one thing that I guess I didn't know, that when we're only given a day, you just don't know this stuff. But we're doing our best to try to get these guys out and get them back home to their families or get them back. Or get them to their next opportunity if they've already got one. But yeah, no, I've been reached out to by a couple IFL teams. I've got an NFL workout with the team on June 8th. And some other things like I'm playing for Team America again. I played for Team America just for some extra film in January at their National Bowl. I'll play for them again in the Chargers and Rams Stadium on August 5th to get some more outdoor film as opposed to indoor. Talking to overseas teams and all that kind of stuff. So I'm throwing my flyers and stuff back out there, and I want to go to the next greatest situation for me to get film and send it to the UFL teams, the CFL teams, the NFL teams that are interested in me as a player, and see what the film and stuff can do about getting me a camp invite or something like that to go in and continue to prove that I belong. And so obviously that's the stuff that I've kind of got going on. Obviously, I'll have more time to devote back to the making social media content and doing my coaching stuff, whether that be coaching videos or coaching clients in person or remote coaching and things like that, and taking Tom House's knowledge of someone who has trained Tom Brady and Drew Brees and Matt Ryan and a bunch of, the list can go on, and that's just in the football world. And he's a baseball guy to originate. So, yeah, I mean, he's coached a lot of Hall of Famers, and I'm fortunate and blessed to be one of the others that he trains. And I've got a lot of knowledge to continue to give to the next generation, and obviously that's what I'm doing now too, as a thing, as a second passion to playing. And yeah, I get a little bit more time now in addition to training and just staying prepared for whatever may pop up next, because it's a day by day thing with this arena ball stuff, or even just this level of professional athletics. You just got to be ready to get on a plane and go tomorrow, and you never know if you're going to get the phone call.
Yeah, that's the one thing I like about these smaller leagues. Um, from CFL, I mean, I don't really consider the CFL a small league, but
Yeah,
the arena leagues, things of that nature, is not only the hidden gems in talent, but the fact that you're genuinely a good guy too. So I sincerely wish you the best. I really hope all this works out. I really hope that you not only get the justice you deserve from the AFL, but you're able to actually get to your dream, catch your dream, and make the most out of it.
of course,
Um,
and I'll be right back on here talking to you about it too.
yeah. But yeah, it was great having you. But yeah, I guess that's it. If you can send the GoFundMe my way at any
Yep.
time, I'll definitely put it in the description. so
Yeah.
people
So,
can.
and I'll even kind of describe some of that too. So we have two of them now. The one I created, a journalist that was reaching out to me very early on was like, "Hey, I've got people reaching out saying they want to donate. Is there anything?" And they kind of gave me the idea to do it. So the one that I created was solely to just get the 7 players that we have in housing home. And I may even try to kind of shut that down soon too, because we've reached the goal. And once I can get the money out and get it to them, then we're good. And I don't want to take anybody's money. So that one's good. We met the goal, and I'm just trying to make sure we get the money out to those guys. But one of our other teammates, a linebacker running back by the name of Jordan, he works for like Vertical Raise, which is another kind of fundraising company and stuff. And he was like, "Hey, I want to get something for the all 24 of us on the team for a recovery fund." And so I'll go on record and say I'm not necessarily 100% in support of it, because I'm just like, okay, I get we all need money and we need to get like our salaries and get paid back for the money we spent and all this other kind of stuff. But the main thing is just get our guys home, and we got to do what we got to do to just kind of recover from that. But I'll send you the link to that one and stuff too, if anyone does feel led to do it. But no pressure. We're going to be fine as individuals. We're all looking for next opportunities. They're going back to jobs for the non-local guys. Guys that are here have jobs anyway. So we're going to be fine. We'll recover from it. It's obviously just a pretty bad situation that we were kind of dealt. And obviously it just happened like 2 days ago. So we're all just kind of, in a way, all emotional through it, and trying to just figure out what's next. But yeah, no, I'll send you those two links, and yeah, I mean, and then anybody that wants to go follow me on any of the social medias, JArthQB11 on Instagram and TikTok, and JustinArthQB on X or Twitter or whatever we're calling it now, or Facebook. And you can follow me all on that stuff. And if you want some quarterback training or pitcher training, go hit me up at a11performance.com, or go check me out at nationalpitching.com under the Find the Coaches section. And I'm willing to help any of you guys or anything that too. So we've got some Hall of Fame knowledge, and we're ready to give it to you. It's stuff that I do every day in my process, and if it worked for Drew Brees and Tom Brady, and it's working for me, I think it could work for you too. So don't hesitate to reach out. I'm always there.
Thank you for coming on. It was a great experience talking to you. Um, but yeah, honestly, just wish you the best. Hope all goes well.
Appreciate you, Nick. Thanks for having me on.